everyone, I'm Sarah, Rich Textures Crochet, and welcome. Today we're going to learn how to crochet the Sweetheart Stitch, and I've called it the Sweetheart Stitch simply because I thought these little puff stitches really remind me of little hearts that are situated in between these beautiful shell stitches. So the Sweetheart Stitch. The pattern is beautiful, has a texture, not quite solid, but not super lacy, and it is similar on both sides. For the tutorial today, I'm going to be working with a medium worsted weight cotton yarn. This is the Pima Cotton by Lion Brand, and I'll be pairing it with a 5mm or an H8 crochet hook. You can find both of these items in the description of my video. Also down in the description, you will find a direct link to the free written instructions, which are on my website at richtexturescrochet.com. So thank you so much for joining me. While you're here, I invite you to take a look around. Don't forget to subscribe. This channel is updated every week with free crochet patterns and stitch tutorials. Now our stitch today is worked in rows. We're going to start by making a slip knot and then by working a foundation chain. Your foundation chain today will need to be a multiple of 8 stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 24 plus an additional 2 stitches. So once you have your foundation chain worked, you're going to begin row 1 by working a single crochet into the second chain from your hook. Your chain 1 does not count as a stitch. You're then going to skip the next 3 stitches, and into your next stitch you're going to work 7 double crochet stitches. Seven double crochet stitches all into the same stitch. You're then going to skip the next 3 stitches and single crochet into your next stitch. Repeat this all the way across. Skip the next 3 stitches, work 7 double crochet stitches into your next stitch, skip the next 3 stitches, and single crochet into your next stitch all the way across. At the end of your row 1, you're going to chain 3 and turn your work. Now for row 2, we're going to begin by working a puff stitch into our first stitch. To work your puff stitch, so this is the stitch right at the base of our turning chain into that single crochet. To work your puff stitch, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the first stitch, yarn over and drop a loop. You're going to do that a total of 4 times. So there's 1, yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch, yarn over and drop a loop, 2, 3, and 4. Then going to yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook. Chain 3, skip the next 3 stitches, which are 3 double crochets, and work a single crochet into the next stitch. Chain 3, skip the next 3 double crochet stitches, and into your next single crochet you're going to work a puff stitch, chain 2, and puff stitch back down into the same stitch. Chain 3 and repeat. Skip the next 3 stitches, single crochet into your next stitch, chain 3, skip the next 3 stitches, and into your next single crochet, work a puff stitch, chain 2, and puff stitch. Chain 3, skip the next 3 stitches, and single crochet all the way until you come to your final single crochet stitch, where you will chain 3 and finish off with a puff stitch into that final stitch. Chain 3 and turn your work. For row 3, we're going to begin by working 3 double crochet stitches into our first stitch. This is into the top of that puff stitch. Work 3 double crochets. You're then going to skip the next chain space and single crochet into the top of the next single crochet stitch. Skip the next chain space and into the next chain 2 space, you're going to work 7 double crochet stitches. So you're working this 7 double crochets in between your 2 puff stitches. Skip the next chain 3 space and single crochet into the top of the next single crochet. You're going to repeat this all the way across. Skip the next chain 3 into your chain 2 space between the 2 puff stitches, work 7 double crochet stitches. Skip the next chain 3 and single crochet into the next single crochet stitch. Repeat that all the way across until you come to your final puff stitch. When you come to that final puff stitch, you're going to finish off by working 4 double crochet stitches into that final stitch, or into the space. So I work mine right into the chain 3 space. You can then chain 1 and turn your work. For row 4, we're going to begin by working a single crochet into that first stitch. You're then going to work a puff stitch, chain 2, and puff stitch into the next stitch. Before you do that though, you're going to chain 3 and then into that next single crochet, work your puff stitch, chain 2, and puff stitch into the same single crochet stitch. Chain 3 and skip the next 3 stitches and single crochet into the next stitch. Chain 3, skip the next 3 stitches into the next single crochet, work a puff stitch, chain 2, and puff stitch into the same stitch. Repeat that all the way across. When you come to the end of your row, you're going to finish off with a chain 3 and a single crochet into the top of that turning chain, into the top of the starting chain 3. That brings you to the end of your row 4. At the end of row 4, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Now for row 5, we're going to begin by working a single crochet into the first stitch. You're then going to skip the next chain 3 and puff stitch, and into your chain 2 space work 7 double crochet stitches. Skip the next puff and chain 3 space and single crochet into the next single crochet stitch. You're going to repeat that all the way across, skip the next chain 3 and puff stitch and work 7 double crochets into that next chain 2 space. Skip the next puff stitch and chain 3 and single crochet into the next stitch all the way across. Where you will finish off with a single crochet into that final stitch. You can then chain 3 and turn your work. Now, as far as the repeats in the pattern are concerned, that is it. You're simply going to repeat your rows 2, 3, 4, and 5 for the rest of the pattern. So your row 2 began with that puff stitch in the first stitch, followed by your chain 3 and single crochet. So rows 2, 3, 4, and 5, repeat that for as long as you would like for the rest of the pattern, then fasten off and weave in your ends. And that's how you work this beautiful sweetheart stitch. So thank you so much for joining me. Once again, don't forget to subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Until then, happy crocheting. Bye.